Okay, so some life lessons to be learned from this very sad, tragic case and situation of, assistant coach Eric Bieniemy's family. Now, let me start off by saying this. I am not insensitive to the Bieniemy family current situation. I am not making light of it. I'm just using this situation, as with everything else that happens in life, as a teachable moment and, something to learn life lessons from. So that's number one. I am not in any way trivializing this case. I am not making any kind of fun of it or, just trying to clickbait through it. No, I heard the news. It shocked me, like I guess many other people. And it just occurred to me that, wow, there are a few life lessons to be relearned or learned and remembered from this case. A friend once told me common sense is not that common. And in many situations in life, that's true. So anyway, the main thing is I don't want to trivialize the situation. My sincerest condolences, thoughts, good wishes, prayers to the Bieniemy family in this current situation. I pray and sincerely hope that Mrs. Bieniemy recovers quickly and completely from this. And, the family eventually finds peace and resolution from this and, moves on. I just thank God, thank goodness that, the outcome from this case was not worse. Mrs. Bieniemy was not killed, uh, thankfully. And, fortunately, her son will not be facing murder or, homicidal charges from, killing his mom, if that was the case. But like I said, thankfully, that is not the case. Thankfully, that is not the case. So again, I hope and pray that Mrs. Bieniemy recovers completely and quickly. And the family, including this kid, this young man, somehow they all find peace and some form of resolution eventually from this case. But it's a sad case. Okay, so let me get into the meat of my message and the lesson here. People, I don't know how you all feel, but to me, short of your family member or anybody trying to physically hurt you, harm you, kill you, maim you, injure you, there should absolutely be no reason why you should pick up a weapon and discharge that weapon on a person, especially a family member. That is an absolute no-go zone for me, morality wise, ethics wise, uh, upbringing, background, whatever you want to call it, culturally, just rational reasoning. You should absolutely never, no child, like I said, the only situation in which a child should pick up a weapon and try to harm their parent, or one person in general should pick up a weapon and try to harm another, is if that other is physically in the immediate situation trying to harm or injure or kill that initial person. Other than that, there should be absolutely no reason why anybody, and most especially a child, should pick up a weapon to attack the parent. Absolutely no reason, except that parent is physically attacking that child in that moment, and for some crazy demonic reason, is trying to kill their own child, and the child is defending themselves, and they're like, "Hey, in the process of defending myself, sorry, mom, dad, I had to shoot you because you're trying to kill me." But other than that, there should be absolutely no reason why a child should pick up a weapon and, you know, attack or try to harm their parent with that weapon. No reason other than what I've described already. Your parent could slap you, your parent could hit you, your parent might even pummel you for a while. Still, take the pummeling, try your best to defend yourself. At the most, maybe, push them away, get out of the situation, run away, whatever. But you should never, ever, ever, ever pick up a weapon, or even with your own hands. This is my personal feeling. Even with your own hands as a child, raise your hand to your parents. Talk less of raising a weapon against your parents. Absolutely no cause or reason for that. An absolute no, no. I mean, it's not even, it's a non-starter for me, So I don't care what the parents said. Your emotions were hurt by whatever it is they said. You know, that doesn't justify you picking up a weapon or even your fist, your hands, and laying them attacking your parents with your hands or weapon. Absolutely a no-no. Okay. So your parents destroyed your property. You can't touch them. You can't use a weapon on them. Your parents said something that hurt your feelings. You can't use a weapon on them. Your parents denied you something you wanted or whatever, or they disappointed you or whatever. You cannot put your hands on your parents or use a weapon on your parents. No cause, no situation calls for that. Absolutely none, except in, like I said, the very extreme case of your parents in the first place trying to hurt you so bad that you feel that your life is in danger at that moment. And the only way you can defend yourself is to, reactionarily hurt your parents to protect yourself, to defend yourself in that situation. Other than that, don't raise your hand to your parents, never, and absolutely don't use a weapon against your parents. So I don't know what, transpired between this young man and his mother that so sparked him, that so hurt him, that he had the audacity to raise not just his hands, but a weapon, a gun, and shot his mother. This is, it's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Like I said, I don't care what she said. I don't care what you expected from her. I don't care what you thought maybe she so hurt you in some kind of way. No, nothing justifies you picking up a weapon and using it against your own parent. At the very worst, walk away. Walk away. You can argue back if you're so heated, tell them how you feel. And like I said, she might be hitting you, she might be pushing you, she might be pummeling you. That is still not enough for you to use a weapon on her. Short of her trying to actually kill you in that situation, absolutely you cannot use a weapon. And even in my personal opinion, even if she was trying to kill you, your mother's trying to kill you, as a grown ass man, as I see this young man to be, I don't think he's like a kid like that. He's a grown man. I think he has the strength to defend himself, even if his mother had come at him with a weapon. I'm just saying that's like an extreme case. I don't know if that's what happened here. I don't think so, but I don't know. But even if that's the case, as an able bodied young man, that you can find a way to disarm your parent without hurting them, and definitely without shooting them. Okay, so run away from the situation, argue back, defend yourself, but don't raise your hands and absolutely don't use a weapon against your parents. Absolute no, no. So there's a saying, it's biblical, and it's part of how I was raised. They say raise a child in a certain way from, when that child is young, and that child will not depart from that path. So, I I'm not in any way calling out or challenging how the Bieniemy family raised their son, but and I can understand this current gun culture. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. I get it. But you got to parents. You got to raise your kids to know that using a weapon, especially in the house, is absolutely insane. How did this young man get that weapon in the first place? Is this a family weapon? Is this his parent, his dad, his mom's weapon, gun? Is this his personal gun? How did he get it? Why is there a gun so easily accessed in the house like that? You know, and for this guy to do this, in my opinion, in earlier cases and living with him for however old he is, parents, you got to know your children. You got to know the tendencies of your children. Okay. There are many situations, in the past, a child commits a crime, and the parents are like, "Oh, I never knew he had that in him. I never knew he could do that." Oh, come on. That's your child you've been raising for whatever number of years. If you're a good parent, and I'm not saying again, I'm not pointing any blaming fingers at the Bieniemy family, I'm speaking generally. You should know your child to an extent, right? And this is a young man, so I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm guessing he's probably had arguments with his parents in the past. How did that turn out? What did he do in those situations? Okay. How violent or non-violent was he? So in earlier interactions, in earlier arguments, in earlier fights, how did he behave? And I may be wrong, but to me, this latest situation, this young man has been dropping nuggets about his behavior. Oh, well, if I get upset, this is how I act. This is who I am. I can go there. So, I may be wrong, but I think the parents in general should know how far your child could go. In argumentative situations, in verbal assault situations, and even in physical, confrontations and stuff like that. You have to know how far your children can go. So I may be wrong, but I just find it difficult. I know, and I've heard of, crimes of usually what do they call it, crimes of passion or crimes of the moment. So he was so passionately upset that for the first time in his life, he picked up a weapon and used it on his mom. I guess that's possible, but to me, there have been nuggets, there have been signs that he could do stuff like that, in my opinion. In my opinion, so I think he's been given signs that he could be violent like that if, if pushed or upset to that point. So, and again, ah, not pointing a finger at any family, but families, parents, you got to raise your kids to know absolutely hell no. Are you using a weapon in the house against any member of the family? If there is a weapon, it's against an intruder from outside, somebody trying to hurt us from outside, strictly for the family protection, not to be used against each other. So, and I know we're living in a crazy gun culture. I get it. But this is crazy, people. Crazy for a young man like this to use a gun and shoot his mom. For what? For what? That is crazy, people. You know, your mom, your stepmom, your auntie, your uncle, your dad, your stepdad, your brother, your sister, your cousin, any family member, anybody. It's crazy. The gun culture we live in. It's crazy. If you are so upset, get away from the situation. Right? If the person is attacking you physically, try yourself to defend yourself physically without resorting to using a weapon. Push them away, block the hits, get away from the situation. It's crazy. So again, like most of us, I don't know the particulars of the argument or the particulars of the intense situation in which this shooting occurred, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Parents, we got to do better with our kids. We really got to do better with our kids. And this gun culture thing is out of whack. Absolutely out of whack. So that was just my little 2 cents. I just, a couple of lessons that just came to my mind as I heard this news, and it saddened me. And by the way, on the side, come on, NFL. Eric Bieniemy should be a head coach by now somewhere. Come on, man. The man is too offensively smart. He's too, properly disciplined. I heard he's like kind of like a disciplinarian with his players. You know what I'm saying? So the point I'm trying to make is I think the man has the fortitude and the brains and the X and O's and all that to lead a team. But that's by the way. But come on, NFL, give this man a chance, man. Give him a nice coaching job. At least try him out for a couple of years, see what happens. But that's by the side. So to cap off and to finish off, this is a sad case, sad situation. Again, I hope Mrs. Bieniemy quick and complete recovery. And I hope this young man, sits down in jail, thinks about what he did, regrets it, and, hopefully comes to his senses and apologizes to his mom and his parents and realizes that this is some dumb bullshit that he did shooting his mom. I don't care what she did to you, dog. Come on, man. Come on, man. Using a gun on your mom, that's weak. That is so weak. Come on, man. And you're not a kid like that. You're a young man, you know. So hopefully, there are no mental issues with him, medical behavioral issues with him. Hopefully, I don't know the particulars. But if he's a sane, normal, reasonable young man, come on, man, sit in jail, think about what you did, stew over it, and you did wrong. You did wrong, man. There is no cause for you to use a weapon like that against your mom. You did wrong. You did wrong. Unless there's some underlying, like I said, behavioral, mental issues. I don't know. But anyway, so that's my little 2 cents. Life lessons to be learned from this. Uh, Praying for the Bieniemy family, wishing them all well. Wow. And football season is about to start, and coach has to have this on his mind instead of focusing on the players and getting his players ready, getting the Chiefs ready. Man, this is BS. But anyway, life lessons to be learned from it. Uh, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Thank you, folks, for listening. Hopefully, we learned something from this situation, as sad and tragic as it is. But hopefully, everything works out. Again, speedy and complete recovery to Mrs. Bieniemy, and hope everything works out for the family. Thanks, guys, for listening.